All praises and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai Bahasham Ha Rakah Quadash. Double honors to our apostle elders, which rule great millstone well, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure into the end. Shalom wa abba babal. Alright, so this book that I was listening to, it's an audio book on Hoopla, Alexander the Great, by Jacob Abbott. Alright, and he's going to talk about the dream, which really was a vision that Alexander the Greek had of the priests of Israel.
When I was in Macedon, before setting out on this expedition, while I was revolving the subject in my mind, musing day after day on the means of conquering Asia, one night I had a remarkable dream. In my dream, this very priest appeared before me, dressed just as he is now. He exhorted me to banish every fear, to cross the Hellespont boldly, and to push forward into the heart of Asia. He said that God would march at the head of my army and give me the victory over all the Persians. I recognized this priest as the same person that appeared to me then. He has the same countenance, the same dress, the same stature, the same air. It is through his encouragement and aid that I am here, and I am ready to worship and adore the God whose service he administers. Alexander joined the high priest in the procession, and they returned to Jerusalem together. There, Alexander united with them and with the Jews of the city in the celebration of religious rites by offering sacrifices and oblations in the Jewish manner. The writings, which are now printed together in our Bibles as the Old Testament, were in those days written separately on parchment rolls and kept.
So as you just heard, the historical, he narrated the historical event of Alexander the Greek, or the Alexander the So Great. You know, he had a dream of a priest, a vision of a priest, and then he came in contact with that priest, which the Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which have been scattered throughout the world in slavery. Alright, after King Solomon, the kingdom was broken up into two kingdoms. You had the southern kingdom, which was known as the Jews, right? Which, that's who Alexander the Greek is talking to. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And then you got the northern kingdom, which during the Babylonian captivity, they came here to what you know as North America, Central America, South America, and the Caribbean. Which eventually the southern kingdom was brought to the Americas on slave ships, which now we're all in slavery under the so-called white man. Alright, the red devil the Bible speaks of. Alright, but this shows you how far this world has went to the left, because even Alexander the Greek, you know, showed an honor and respect towards the supreme power, Yahweh, and his son Yahushai. But now you got these devils, these red devils, right? They know not the Israelites nor the power that is with us, because we even forgot ourselves and forgot our power's name. But now that it's returning to us in our captivity, all right, even the heathen have to recognize it and remember themselves. All right, but now this is in the Bible. All right, it's right here in Daniel 8, verse 21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king, which is Alexander the Greek. Alright? And it says, now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. Which is talking about those four generals that got his kingdom after he died. Alright? Maccabees, which is in the Apocrypha, and this is why they wanted to remove the Apocrypha, because it explains these things. First Maccabees, right, it tells you right here in verse 1, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, which Philip was the king of Macedonia, which they're Edomites though, the Macedonian who came out of the land of Kittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. So Alexander the Greek is that king prophesied in Daniel, which Alexander the Greek had a vision of the priest, and the priest he met in real life, and he showed Alexander the Greek that he was in the prophecies. And that's what we're doing to these kings now. Alright? So it says in verse 7, so Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, which he was like 30 years old, I believe. It says in verse 9, and after his death they all put crowns upon themselves, so did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth, because they were killing each other for the power that Alexander was able to gain being alive. It says, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 130 and 70 year of the kingdom of the Greeks. So as you can see, right, his power was split up, and it went into those 4 generals. All right, and it says that wickedness increased. All right, it tells you right here in verse 16. Now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus Epiphanes, he thought to reign over Egypt, which Ptolemy had that he might have dominion over 2 realms. Why? Because the kingdom was broken up into 4 generals. All right. So you can see right here, it says instead of 1 successor, the Alexander the Greek, he had 4 successors. However, there were actually 4 generals who succeeded Alexander: Antigonus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Seleucus, which Antiochus came out of, I believe, the Seleucus family. All right. And as it says, that wickedness increased, right? It says in 30, and spake peaceably words unto them, talking about the Israelites, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people of Israel. And that's what's going to happen again. Peace and safety is what they're going to say, and then sudden destruction. All right? Because these are the same devils that are in power today. The Edomites, the so-called Caucasians that rule today, were in the past as Greeks and Romans, and then eventually you had the British. You had the Germanian Major, Germanian Minor, the Spanish, the French, and which also you have the Greeks and the Romans today, right? But they were ruling back in the day as Greeks and then Romans, all right? And they're doing the same thing today, all right? They're telling you these peaceable words, but soon it's going to be sudden destruction. Just like when they do the implantable MOTB. They're going to tell you, hey, this is going to, make your life okay. It's going to make your life sure. It's going to give you a long life of safety. And when you take that implantable microchip, you're going to end up in the lake of fire. All right? So don't trust your enemies. Do not trust your enemies. All right? And the enemies of the Israelite are the so-called Caucasians and the other nations which are confederate against us